You left me alone inside these empty, broken walls, and I can't see it clearly, but it's obvious. I know that you left me alone inside this empty, broken hall, and now you'll be the reason why my soul is tainted. Somebody help me, 'cause I'm feeling trapped and I don't know what to do. There's no one to save me from this hurt I feel.
Greetings. See, I did a dumb today, and I didn't actually fucking ping anyone about going live, which means that no one's here yet. Which is good, because that gives me time to figure out how to put Twitch chat on screen, because that's something I was gonna do and I forgot. So, bear with me here for a minute. Hey. Surely there must be like an easy way to do this, right? Surely. Or is there not? It has to be, right? Oh, ooh, oh, okay. Shit, I've got an excellent idea. I could. Does this work? Oh, god damn it. Jesus. Oh, that was gonna be too nice. It's never straightforward, is it? Oh my god. Oh shit. So, how do I do this? How do I put how do I do this in OBS? See, I was so like eager and motivated to start streaming that I just forgot to do this. Oh. Oh, but I can't put. This is upsettingly difficult. Ah, shit. Good point. I can do that because I do have caps. Oh my god. Yeah. Just bear with me for a minute here. So how's everyone's morning? That doesn't seem to be working. Oh shit, it's working. Oh my god, yes. Fuck. Yeah, I figured. I didn't think you'd actually be, to be fair, it makes sense because I did start a bit later than I expected, but I thought I would start streaming around like 11, but that didn't end up happening. Where do I put this? Maybe here? Maybe like, I should like resize it a bit or something. Of course, I'm more than happy to see you here despite that. Shit. Walkies. The steppy. Do not have a way to just zoom, apparently. Let's try this. Oh yeah, that is so much better. Okay, great. Oh shit. Okay, I'm fine with this for now. This is terrible, but hey. That's fine by me. So anyway, point being, I really want to stream. I wasn't entirely sure what to stream about, and there were two excellent suggestions, which were setup shops and the patch notes. So I figured I'd get into it with going with the patch notes and everything that I sort of found interesting when I skimmed through them. And then we'll move on to chatting a bit about setup shops. So, let me bring up the patch notes here. I'll post a link. Do we have like a... that might be useful if we have like a casebin. Oh yeah. For anyone who wants to follow along, here is a link that does not require a iRacing subscription. Massive shout out to Kudo for making the best overlay. But anyway, let's get into it. So for some reason, and I don't know why, for some fucking reason though, we got preliminary patch notes, a pre-release draft of them, which I've never seen happen before. I think even like some of the staff members were surprised by it. But by no means am I complaining, because this is pretty cool. I always think like the patch notes could come out a bit earlier, at least with regards to changes like, you know, BOP and car changes. Sometimes it's always feel like it's a bit optimistic to just announce like super drastic changes that then get like released a day later or something. It's always a bit much, or like on the same day even. So yes, this is good. So there are UI changes that I'm not particularly interested in, because I don't know, like I skimmed through it and none of what's broken for me actually changed, so I couldn't care less. It does get more interesting, however. Let me just scroll a little bit. Right. So in the simulation section of the patch notes, there is a race control change. Quote, the method for calculating the race start, pit exit delay, and the missed start tow delay have been updated to account for situations which the slower class may hang back to give themselves additional space at the start of a multi-class race. What this means is hopefully you can't abuse pit lane starts anymore in multi-class races. Because especially if you're in the you know, third class in a race, it's up until now it was super easy to just like start from the pits, get released from the pits with a green flag, well ahead of, you know, your class, or like, you know, so at least you come out like in the like among the leaders, which was always just incredibly ridiculous. I'm so happy to see that issue is finally being taken seriously. I still think the race start situation as a whole could use a bit of improvement in multi-class races, but just this change alone is going to just... I think it's so nice that like just this really stupid and obvious and dirty exploit is just fixed. Well, like you know, I hope it's fixed. I hope they the method that is now in use prevents that from happening. Obviously, I don't know that yet, but we'll have to see. But it should be a fairly simple affair, I think. The way I thought it always worked in real racing is that everyone has to pass the pit exit, or like everyone that starts from the grid has to pass the pit exit before you can, you know, join a race. But so I don't know how exactly it's gonna be now. But this is awesome. And there is a new pace car, which is apparently like a generic sedan that isn't manufactured by any of the known names in cars. So this isn't any brand, this is just some generic sedan that's now going to be a new pace car for Oval. I hope it looks like a real car and just doesn't have a badge, because like some like, you know, GTA 5 car or something would look stupid, but anyway. There are changes to the dynamic track that Christian Challenger said is road focused. So like, I don't know if any Oval people are watching and hoping that the dynamic track is fixed. No. But anyway, so basically softer tires will produce more rubber buildup on the track. How that impacts anything we'll have to see, but alright. And it would appear that all of the NASCAR stock cars, whoa, except for modifieds because there are dirt modifieds, but all of the, you know, road or like pavement only stock cars got dirt tires now, because we're getting Bristol dirt, which is pretty cool. I'll get into the content changes a bit later. I want to just look at the feature side of things first, but yes, dirt tires for everything, which is cool because that includes the 1980s cars, the 87 cars. I'll tell you what, I'd be pretty interested to see how the fucking 80s cup cars do at Bristol dirt. That has got to be pretty cool. And this also includes the legacy cars, so even the fucking car of tomorrow and everything. So pretty cool. GT3 now know how to, well, like the AI knows how to drive GT3 now, which I'll be honest, I couldn't care less. But I think like as far as the feature side of things is concerned, the standout change for the road side for us roadies is that apparently, and I'm not entirely sure what some of these things mean. For the most part, the IMSA series will look like IMSA now, with cars having the correct branding, the correct number positions, the correct number boards, the correct windshield banners, with Michelin brand tires, except for the Italian cars for some reason, because I guess they're like close with Pirelli, I have to assume. But anyway, don't sue me, please. I'm trying to hurt you. But yes, the one thing I'm not entirely sure about is like it says that each car has IMSA leaderboards. I'm gonna assume that means like a position indicator board, because what I understand is a leaderboard is something else. But this is fine. So apparently we're getting the correct like position indicator boards that the IMSA cars use as well, which I think is pretty cool. You know, WEC is a dying series in real life and is not affiliated with iRacing. IMSA, on the other hand, has been affiliated with iRacing for years, and everything looked like everything was like WEC spec. So that's a bit bizarre, isn't it? But you know. Well, yeah, the balance of power is always a bit. That's not the word, but you know, you do you. It's okay. A few more cars are getting the new damage model. My condolences with everyone who races these cars. One potentially noteworthy change is that there's been a change to the qualifying conduct scrutiny system with regards to braking, pit speeds, and optimal race line speeds. Seeing as the PESC exploit is brake dragging in slope corners, this might end up preventing it, not, you know, through a rule, but just through updating the scrutiny system. At least that's how it looks. from what I I don't really understand it, but from what I understand, it's sort of you can brake drag in slow corners because the scrutiny system expects you to go very slowly there, so you can get away with it there. We'll have to see. However, I also think that with Coanda's resources and creativity, I'm not sure that they won't find something else that works. But we'll have to see. There's also been hybrid changes for the hybrid cars, which I don't think anyone drives, so moving on. There is also an update to the visual effects. Specifically the tire smoke and dust cloud effects. iRacing teased a picture that shows what everyone thinks is a new lighting system, or maybe ambient occlusion or something of the sort. I'm pretty positive this is not it, because everything that's in the patch notes refers specifically to visual effects, and those being tire smoke and dust cloud effects. We'll have to see. This might look really, really cool, or might make zero difference at all, so I don't know. I'll comment on that too much. Also, this is a change that I thought seems pretty neat for everyone that drives new damage model cars. Audio levels for scrape sounds for all material types have been improved, and mild impact sounds for all material types have been improved. Maybe this means that you don't sound like your fucking car's braking all the fucking time when you drive literally over any bump or curb or anything. It would be cool, because it's a bit disconcerting, I tell you what, driving something like a TCR at Long Beach, and you know, you're just wondering if the fucking car's braking like on every goddamn bump. But then, you know, it always seems fine if you don't have repairs, but just not having repairs doesn't mean a car isn't broken. You never fucking know. But I hope like that this makes it a bit more bearable, because Jesus. Also, a very interesting change for people who use hand controls, which is that it is now possible to map a second throttle and brake input, because for some time now we've had the ability to match two separate axes to the clutch. This is now also the case for throttle and brake. So, for example, if you had a hi Mia. If you had a some sort of system where both sides of your hand controls operate the brake in one direction and maybe the throttle in the other, you can now map that in such a way that it's infinitely easier to actually, you know, use it with the hand that's, you know, on the wheel. Say if you're like applying a lot of lock and this bottom hand is just like, I don't know, wrist is bent, whatever, and you can't use the pedal anymore. This should be pretty cool. I can't actually speak too much about the specifics of like the challenges of using hand controls in sim racing. I know that for those interested, I believe Robert Wickens has made a video or a post or something somewhere about it. I'm sure you'll find it with some googling. Yeah, I mean, this just seems like a pretty good change. Also, this might make certain start techniques a bit easier. You know, if you say where to map a, I don't know, Xbox controller, like analog stick or like a trigger to the throttle, you could hold that down to 100% and maybe like just hold the physical foot pedal down to, I don't know, your optimal start throttle percentage. So you could perhaps do that. I'm not entirely positive about it, because I don't usually drive cars with standing starts, but I'm sure people will be crafty and will figure something out here. Also, the virtual mirror can now be resized. Medium is the default. You can make it larger or 2 levels of smaller. Seems good. Some people need that to literally take up like their entire screen, and maybe then they'll look in it. Oh yeah, so apparently that is the video where Robert Wickens talks about hand controls in sim racing, which if you're interested, go watch that after I'm done here. one very nice thing for direct drive wheel owners, which I may become in the future, given that direct drive is good and belt is shit. There is a new force limiter for like extreme force events such as vehicle crashes or some glitches or something that, you know, outputs like some absurd amount of force. So this should hopefully mean that less people fucking, even like the, you know, oh, I'm a man, I'm gonna turn my DD to maximum, that even that crowd injures themselves less because, you know, which is a good thing. Also, you know, if you have to deal with some like intentional wrecker like after the finish line, someone, seems a good change, seems a no-brainer. Like it. There are some. Fuck. God damn it. Okay, Jesus. Fuck. Alright, Jesus. There's some changes to the camera editing, or like to the camera editor. Seems good. Oh, that is interesting. That makes sense actually. I remember hearing about that. Yeah, it's a no-brainer. I mean, really, you're sitting in a gaming chair playing a video game on your computer, and then, you know, you can hurt yourself, break your fingers or wrists or whatever. Like, come on, it's a bit much, isn't it? Seems like a no-brainer to implement such a safety feature. That's all the interesting stuff on the feature side of things, I would say. Which means we'll move on to content. I'll stick to the stuff that's interesting to me. I'll mention everything, but I won't go in depth about most things. So, the Arca Impala has damage model updates. The GT1 cars have gotten tire spec updates and setup limits updates, basically. The Audi GTO tire spec has been updated. And now this is more interesting. Across all of the GT3s, starting with the Audi because it starts with A, across all of the GT3s, some of the setup limits have been adjusted. Specifically, the torque adjustment increments and limits. This is in an effort to prevent people from running negative rear torque setups all the time. Because at the moment, it is not just viable, but arguably seems pretty good to run negative rear torque for extra rotation pretty much throughout the corner. And with little to no drawbacks, I don't enjoy the way those setups drive, but it's by no means anywhere near as bad as you would imagine a, you know, negative 1 mil rear torque setup to feel. So, this is not a thing anymore. And there are obviously some cars that responded to those setups a bit better than others. It's going to be interesting to see how this impacts BOP across the board. Right, but you know, this used to be a thing for some time, that you could just like get like free rotation everywhere for running negative rear torque, and it's just not something that is done in real GT racing. It's just not something that is done, hasn't been done for quite some time. Generally with the way these cars are engineered and tested and, you know, planned to work and be, it's just, this should not be required, you know. But hey, we're gonna see how it all plays out. It's definitely gonna make the quick setups more pleasant to drive. That's without a doubt. How it impacts BOP, we'll have to see. This is one of those changes where I get it if you hate it, but it makes no fundamental difference, because you build the quicker setup within the parameters that you're given. The parameters now change, but the baseline is still that you build a quicker setup, like according to the parameters. So I don't really think it's too much. It's something to be too worried about. The GT4 class also got some significant changes, with a new tire spec that had its compound and construction adjusted, and there are various changes, quote, to better align with real-world IMSA PC specification. This involves ride-height rules, camber limits, fuel burn rate, fuel tank size and fill rate, minimum tire pressures, and pit stop procedures. So the GT4s have gotten some pretty comprehensive changes here, and the rear toe adjustment range again has been adjusted. So it's going to be interesting to see how that affects things. Maybe, just maybe, it might be possible to make these drive kind of good. We'll have to see about that. Also, new damage model updates for the GT4s, with the nose and rear being more resistant to visual scrape effects. Which, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anything fundamentally changes. But hey, you know, that's fine. Funny enough, the C7 Daytona prototype got a new tire and its aero adjusted, which is somewhat surprising, but you won't hear me complain by any means. The late model has had aero and tire changes made to it. The Dallara IRO1. I don't even want to talk about that piece of shit. So the IR18 has had damage model updates. So the IndyCar, for those who are uneducated. And the tire compounds have been adjusted somewhat. I'm not gonna talk about dirt oval either. This is not within the scope of the stream. Like, I'm sorry, that's just I can read the patch notes too, but you can do that yourself. Oh shit, about the GT3s as well. So there are also BOP changes. The Audi has had a slight downforce reduction. The Lambo has not been changed, BOP wise. Mercedes has had some comprehensive changes made to it, which I'm gonna go into further detail once we get to it. Then moving on to the GTEs, we have this. Oh no, shit! I don't think we actually have the toe changes on the GTEs. However, the Ferrari and the Ford GTE have gotten ramp angle options now after all these years, because all the other GTEs have differential preload clutch plates or like friction face adjustment and drive and coast ramp angles. The Ferrari and Ford until now only had a clutch plate and preload adjustment. This should make setting them up a bit more pleasant. Just gives you that one little, diff option to that helps not having to settle for a compromise and instead just running the diff that you want. So that's a good thing if the other cars have those adjustments. I don't really think it's inherently like a good or a bad thing if the whole car class simply had a preload adjustment or simply had preload and clutch plates. Okay, fine, but also, like from a BOP perspective, it's just going to help to be able to properly set up each car and not have to like deal with a diff compromise in some of them, because that's a pretty big thing to be compromising on, if we're honest. So yes, as far as GTE BOP is concerned, the 488 GTE has gotten more aerodynamic drag. The Ford has had its aerodynamic drag reduced. The RSR has had its downforce reduced slightly, and that is it. No changes to the BMW or the Corvette. Oh, I said the GT1's got a new tire. Well, the GT2 Ford also did, but along with the updates to the C7DP, the HPD LMP2 has gotten the new tire now and has had its aerodynamic scaling adjusted. We'll have to see quite what that means, but yes, I guess it doesn't really matter. Maybe they're less broken now, but I guess it's a bit late for that. Then I know some of you are open wheel people. The Indy Pro 2000 PM18 has gotten quite a lot of changes in this patch, or like is going to get quite a lot of changes in this patch. the tire spec update is the least of your concerns, I would argue, because you have significantly less downforce. The downforce loss in the draft, so like the effects of dirty air, has been adjusted. The minimum cold tire pressures have been increased. The brake authority has been reduced. Low speed suspension damping has been reduced. And the diff rams have been updated to combinations that are more realistic. So, suffice it to say, I think the car is going to drive significantly different with the update. So, if you, for some reason, are a PM18 main, well, let's hope these changes are good. Because I couldn't care less, but I hope these changes are good. Also damage model changes, making the suspension and car floor stronger, which seems to be a sort of pretty common concern, that just everything breaks these cars that are on the NDM. So hey. The Huracan has had some visual adjustments made to it, along with the toe changes across the whole GT3 class that we spoke about. Oh shit, I forgot to mention the Mclaren. I scrolled entirely past it. So the Mclaren has also had its downforce reduced. So the Audi and McLaren, which were probably considered the strongest cars, have had their downforce reduced. I also think the tow limit changes are going to impact these cars a bit more than, say, the BMW or something. But yes, we'll have to see. I mean, it's never, you can never really talk about BOP just based on patch notes. We'll always have to see how everything specifically ends up changing. But I will say this may well be the end of the McLaren and Audi domination in VRS. Simply because it wasn't that, the pace spread wasn't that big to begin with, I think. I know a lot of people seem to be hell-bent on the notion that the McLaren and Audi were hopelessly OP with nothing else being even vaguely in reach. I don't quite think that is true in this way. So surely a slight nerf for those two cars and the toe changes should or could well mean that something else will now be the car du jour. We'll have to see. One very interesting change, which I'm actually quite excited about, is the Amg Gt3 getting some pretty comprehensive changes. Not to go on about it like too long, but in real life, and this is according to multiple people, including Adam Christodoulou on the iRacing forums, in real life the AMG is known for its trail braking and corner entry stability. This is what makes it popular with amateurs, but also popular with like anyone really, because it's just good. But yeah, corner entry stability is one of the things that it's good at. And funny enough, in iRacing, pretty much the opposite is true. It's good at lots of things, like from a sort of handling perspective, but late trail braking or like the turn, and it was so easy to just get this snappy kind of oversteer where the rear end just, I don't know, it feels a bit like you've got like some absurdly stiff ARB in it or something. Like the rear end just kind of gives up at a moment's notice. There have been changes made to try and fix this, it would appear. So the engine braking has been reduced slightly to help settle the rear of the car on trail braking. This seems plausible that this is what's been causing these issues. It always felt to me a bit like the rear end, which is a kind of lock up, and excessive engine braking could well be the root cause of the car's behavior in iRacing. So we'll have to see, but I'm certainly excited to see if this improves corner entry behavior of this car, because if you do get, better corner entry stability, then you wouldn't have to compromise the rest of the setup quite so much to just ensure drivability, which, like I said, seems pretty good. This might make the AMG significantly more competitive than it's ever been since the move onto the new tire, I think. But that isn't it yet, because the high-speed suspension damping... I really need to mute my phone. There you go. Thanks. Yeah, the high-speed suspension damping has been updated to improve grip and platform control for curb strikes and at bumpy circuits. Anyone that's driven the AMG and RSing will know that it's like a fucking, like one of those like bouncy like fucking castles for kids, you know? It's like horrible. I sincerely hope that this gives the car like a working like suspension, because at the moment it sort of, I always think of like some 70s fucking like American barge that just like bounces like this, like, and I don't know, not ideal. But yes, the fuel consumption rate has been increased and engine cooling has been decreased to compensate for the reduction in engine braking efficiency. Probably nothing to worry about, probably just like changes that need to be made to bring the car back in line. But yes, and the differential preload range is now set to 50 to 200 Newton meters. I believe most setups were in that range anyway. So I don't think this is like in practice, like in real world, it's gonna actually affect anything. Then there are basically damage updates and damage effect updates to all of the oval cars, which again I'm not gonna get into detail here. The Nissan GTP ZX Turbo has also received some updates, because apparently that is still a thing, which is cool. I just don't drive it, but some suspension updates and little quality of life improvements. Yes, about the Cayman, like I said about the BMW, it's basically the same changes, just bring the car in line with IMSA PC specification. Like, it's pretty much the same stuff with suspension and setup changes and whatever. What is potentially quite interesting is that the Porsche 911 GT3 Cup has had its anti-stall clutch removed. I didn't think the real car had one, but I may be mistaken, but it would seem uncharacteristic for a car of this type. This may mean that the race start technique that's been used currently, where you stand on the throttle and the brake and the clutch, or, you know, clutch to a certain point, it might mean that that doesn't work anymore. At least, we'll have to see. You have to see what exactly this ends up changing, because you can obviously just enable the anti-stall clutch in the RSing assists. So the question is really if anything changes. Of course, if this means that you cannot anymore enable the anti-stall clutch in the Cup car, then, you know, then this definitely changes something. But we'll have to just see. The Radical SR8 has also moved into the new tire model and has had suspension and diff updates done to it. And the Aussie supercars have had tire updates and some vehicle parameter changes, specifically meaning like properties have been updated for improved real world correlation. I don't know, like maybe this just means it had like 20 horsepower too much or something, I don't know. But the aerodynamic downforce has been significantly reduced, which is always a good thing if you know anything about supercars. The running fucking theme over the past few years is that they have too much aero. And the minimum and maximum static ride heights have been adjusted to ensure the vehicle is run at an appropriate ride height based on the aerodynamic mapping. So just, you know, one change necessitates another. Yeah, I can speak today. Damn, like fucking trying all the fancy words and failing. I mean, Jesus. Also, one more for the open wheel crowd. The USF 2000 has had its tire spec updated, and there are, again, vehicle parameter changes. The aerodynamic side force center of pressure has been moved rearward to mitigate snap oversteer. So basically, what they've done to it is like if you imagine like an LMP1 without a shark fin and then an LMP1 with a massive shark fin, this is what that change means. The side force center of pressure has been moved rearward. So as soon as you're sliding, the arrow will pull you straight. Aerodynamic calculations have been added back to the garage, which I always think is a good thing. I don't really see why we shouldn't have that available to us. Downforce loss in the draft has been adjusted that aim to improve oval racing. The number of available rear wing settings has been reduced to eliminate a number of options that have counterintuitive performance. Now, this could mean a few things. This could mean like the labeling being counterintuitive. It could also mean that perhaps the I don't know, you could run the wing so aggressively that it's just stalling and doesn't work. Not entirely sure. I'm not a USF 2000 main by any means, but surely it's going to be interesting for those of you who are. The brake system has been updated and the low-speed suspension damping has been reduced, similarly as with the Pro Mazda. And that, I think, wraps up the car side of the content front. On the track front, we are getting. I'll start with the interesting stuff first. We're getting Penn Island Raceway. No, we're not. We're getting Bark River International Raceway, but it looks like a fucking dick. I don't know who thought that like some track in like Upper Peninsula Michigan was interesting at all, but it is a dirt road track for like trucks or something, and it looks like a penis. So hey, that's bound to make people buy it. Because I was talking about this yesterday, I found out why this is apparently relevant because they say that in the patch notes. Quote. The heritage of short course off-road racing has a uniquely Midwestern flair to it, and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan features one of the sport's premier tracks in Bark River International Raceway. Owned and operated by the Bark River Lions Club, the facility has hosted short course off-road racing for nearly half a century, with the sport's top drivers heading to the track every August, one of the biggest race weekends of the year. The Bark River track layout is one of the most unique in short course racing and features a tricky mix of sweeping and tight corners that force drivers to be precise in their inputs, as well as natural jumps and multiple fast straightaways that lead to full throttle racing. Not everyone has what it takes to win at Bark River, and those who pull it off truly have to earn it. All of you now know why this is relevant, right? Because there is a big event, but I don't know what it is, but there's a big event. Sorry, but like I can't take this seriously. If you can, then good for you, but I fucking can't. It's some irrelevant fucking track. just look like a penis, and like no one knows why it's important. It's so great. I might have to actually Google it and see if I find out what this event is, because like, oh. It's a fucking big event on a big dick. Okay, so there is the annual Bark River Off-Road Rumble, where pro and sportsman racers hit the track in August. Exactly. Like I don't think anyone even knows what this is. I mean, look, I'm not like complaining about the fact that dirt road is getting content and like the trucks are getting content, but like why this of all things? Aren't there like more interesting tracks? Like I don't know. I don't know anything about this, but like neither does anyone else it seems. So hey, you tell me. And anyway, moving on to something significantly less entertaining. Well, actually, that's not true. It might actually be more entertaining than a penis. And it's Bristol Dirt. Because, yes, we're getting Bristol Dirt just in time for real-life Bristol Dirt. And, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the... if anyone here has seen the trailer that iRacing has posted. I recommend you do. It's not that hard. Just Google it. Seeing fucking modern NASCAR Cup cars go sideways on dirt is dopey as fuck, and I'm so here for it. This is gonna be so cool. I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, you fucking come on. Oh my goodness. Jesus Christ. Tom. You kidding me? Tom okay. Or as I like to say, Tom Bock, but hey, that's... Excellent. That's impressive. Yes, hi, hello. I used to stream sim racing. I don't anymore. Now I just sit here and talk about it. Oh, computer boy. Last time I saw you was when Lubo lost it. Hey, cheers. Have a good one, too. Appreciate the raid. But yes, no. The raid came just in time to like miss the spice, because I'm talking about the patch notes right now. One of the things that we're getting is a racetrack that looks like a penis, and I said that there is actually one thing that's more interesting than that, and it's like Bristol dirt. It might be more entertaining than a penis. So that's that. Haha, y'all can laugh, and now we're gonna move on and talk about Barcelona RX, because we're getting the rallycross layout for Barcelona, which I think is pretty damn cool, because it's actually, I think it's a cool layout. I always enjoyed watching races there and enjoyed driving it in Dirt Rally 2.0, is that what it's called? If, you know, it's a bit of a shame that rallycross there is just like mash gas and full lock and reverse entry, so that's not that fun. But the track as such, I think the layout's cool. More real world rallycross layouts is always a good thing. And on a slightly unrelated but also related note, I suppose what I mean is a personal note. I am considering unretiring on the RX front. So perhaps I might actually have to try hard that track sometime, because you know, I used to be pretty decent at this whole rallycross thing, so I may as well give it another go. I've still got the I rating to try or like to try the quali for pro or whatever. Sorry, we'll just have to see. But don't get overly hyped. I have I don't want to make like a big like hypers announcement or something and then not do it in the end. You never know. But anyway, we'll just have to see. I certainly, as a ex rallycross almost pro, I'm hyped about this. Always think it's a bit of a shame that rallycross gets quite so little love from the iRacing community, but you saw it first 2 years ago or something when I was actually doing rallycross, and I was one of the quickest people out there. But humble brag. But I mean, I didn't achieve anything. I didn't even bother trying to qualify for pro, so it's okay. I can say that. But anyway, so this is lots of like dirty stuff and whatever, which I'm sure everyone only cares about, you know, so much. But we're getting Hockenheim, which, I mean, that's just cool as fuck, to be honest. Is there anything I need to say about us getting Hockenheim? I think it's just awesome. In before, oh, we need to get old Hockenheim through the forest, and I'm just like, no, all that was go straight, chicane, go straight, chicane, go straight, chicane, go straight, chicane, arena section, go straight, chicane. Like, terrible. Also, we're getting a new road like track configuration for Sonoma. Apparently the 2012 to 2018 IndyCar layout. I'm not familiar with what that is exactly, but I'm sure the IndyCar people would be I'm sure interested. No, and a lot of the tracks, and I mean a lot of the tracks, have had camera updates, which is cool. And also, I must have scrolled past it in the patch notes or something, but I saw a thing that said that... Oh yeah, I did scroll past it. One more thing regarding the tracks. quote, the majority of the tiny pinholes in the middle of the paved racing surfaces where sky could show through from behind as bright speckles has been fixed. Thank fucking goodness, because that always looks so bad, but yeah. This is good. This is awesome. But anyway, that's the patch notes done. I suppose for everyone that's here, thanks to Tomb's raid, long story short, I used to stream sim racing and I used to be pretty quick. Still, I guess pretty quick, but I used to be quicker. I don't do that anymore. I don't stream sim racing anymore. However, I talk about it on, it would appear roughly a weekly basis. So if for whatever reason you are interested in hearing the ramblings of an ex-almost pro sim racer and steward and RaceSport Live Events team member and ex-streamer, by all means, feel free to leave a follow, stick around, and maybe join the Discord server that is linked, that I mentioned here and is linked somewhere down below. And, right. When do you think iRacing will release a fantasy road course like the iRacing Speedway but for road? That's a trick question, because I was gonna say never, but I also didn't think they'd release the iRacing Speedway. I think it's unlikely. Just the nature of a road course is... SimDream is that mod team, right? Well, look, people have been ripping models for modding for forever. People have been ripping models to sell it for forever. Ripping models and then making free mods has been common in sim racing in a long time. Ripping models and then selling them and then being a huge dick about it and trying to silence critics is a level above that. However, I think it's just new to sim racing. It's not a new problem per se. I think if you look literally anywhere else, it's super common to see some ripped model for sale somewhere. It's just that now it's not just a ripped model, but rather like a car mod that's ripped from other games. But I'm reluctant to join the whole fucking like hype train and like rage train, because I don't think it's anything new that's happening. And frankly, it's like we're talking about the intellectual property of, like, you know, RF2, Forza, iRacing, whatever. It's on them to do something about it. It's not on me. So, you know, is it scummy? Yes. Is it shitty? Yes. But, I mean, anyone paying for some more or less shady AC Assetto Corsa mod, I mean, what were you expecting exactly? Like, there are reputable modding groups that don't, you know, that don't sell like BMWs and Ferraris, but like, you know, don't infringe on any like brand copyright, that don't steal models, that don't do any of that. Buy their stuff instead, and I don't know. I heard some guy got like his video taken down because he spoke out about it. Okay, well, sorry, but you know, they're scummy assholes. You know, it's just how it is. Like, I'm not really sure why anyone is surprised by like DMCA or like copyright abuse, like copyright claim abuse. Like, copyright claim abuse has been a thing for like forever. It's just like usually sim racing doesn't talk about topics where anyone is so passionate about it that they'll do that to silence you. But come on, I don't know. I can't be too bothered getting all that angry because it's nothing new. It's just new to sim racing. But by no means am I defending people that rip models and steal models and then sell them for a fucking ridiculous price and then silence or try to silence anyone who speaks out about it. By no means do I think that that is a good thing. I just can't be bothered sitting here and getting mad about it because I have other things to get mad about. And actually, I want to get mad about less things in general, so I'm gonna try to not even get mad about that. Actually, I'm just scrolling through the patch notes again. There's one interesting change, which is that there is now a multi-channel compressor and limiter or limiter added to the sound engine that will work in replays. Basically, to people who don't know what a compressor does, a compressor quietens loud sounds. So, if you had, I don't know, if you were playing bass, for example, and you have like a lot of really loud notes and then some really quiet ones, if you compress the shit out of it, you'll basically like bring the peaks down to the same level as the quiet stuff, and then you can like, and then with what is called makeup gain, you make everything louder. So, basically the whole track as a whole gets louder. That's how it's normally used in music, is to even out volume imbalances and to just make everything louder. In this application, what this means is that it mimics basically like what you hear sort of like on TV broadcast, radio broadcasts, where like you have quite a lot of compression and everything to just bring up the volume of quiet stuff. This is a good thing. This is just gonna make the replay view, the TV view, sound more like actual TV, which is cool. And just having a compressor built in RSing, I think it's a neat thing. You know, just it's sort of cool to see that like the sound side of RSing is getting the love that it is getting. I know a lot of people like to complain about the RSing sounds or whatever. That's not what I mean. I'm not talking about the end result or how it sounds or how the sounds are made, whatever. I just think it's cool that sound engineering, like, or audio engineering in the broader sense, just plays such a big topic that's actually talked about in RSing. It's cool because it's often like this unseen job that needs to be done but never gets any credit. I think it's a cool thing that it is getting credit on RSing. But yes, anyway, that's the patch notes done. I thought I'd be quicker about it, but I wasn't, because I've been live for a fucking hour. That will not stop me, however, from talking about setup shops. I may have to take a little break in a little while, because my girlfriend might come home. Well, she should come home soon, because otherwise I'd be a little bit concerned. But anyway, point being, I might have to take a short break for a sec, but we'll see about that. Before I get into it, is there anything else you'd like to ask me and talk to me about? Any more on patch notes? Anything before I dive in? Ding. Spygate. I mean, I don't know how desperate you have to fucking be to fucking try and fucking like get setups from other teams in a car that has like 5 setup options. How desperate? I think a 90-day suspension is a joke. Like, it's nothing short of a joke. I wouldn't be mad to see people like that banned from RSing for good. Like, if they want to get in again, I mean, I don't know, like, I mean, come on, like, it's such a joke, isn't it? Like, how desperate and unsportsmanlike do you have to be? Because, like, what Coanda does is Coanda uses the rules sort of like exploits the rules to the max, to the limit, to as far as they absolutely can go, but that's that. And how RSing deals with it is an RSing problem, not a Coanda problem. Everyone is mad at Coanda for brake dragging. You should be mad at RSing for not preventing it. But this situation, the fucking, getting into sessions, circumventing the password protection to get docs, I mean, Jesus, you're fucking stupid. But I guess it's worth it because all they get is a 90-day fucking suspension. Come on. Like, who are you kidding? Like, such a goddamn joke. Well, the sporting code, it might be nefarious tactics or whatever, yeah, sure. There's certainly plenty of room to argue that it is not legal. Coanda did it in race 1, and then RSing was like, well, this qualifying conduct scrutiny thingy is meant to prevent it, and that's it, and you can't do it on pit exit. So they again take the rules to the maximum, so they don't do it on pit exit anymore, but everywhere else where they can. You know, this is just Coanda going to the max, exploiting the rules, or like that's what competition is about. Because like there's a bit of a similar sort of not really similar, but somewhat similar thing going on in cycling at the moment with the UCI banning the super tuck. This is when people, like, instead of sitting on the saddle, they sit on the top tube in a descent to, you know, be smaller and more aero. That's going to be banned come next month or something. I don't quite remember when it's going to start being enforced. However, are people looking for other ways to get more aero on a descent that, you know, is kind of still a super tuck, but not really the same thing as a super tuck that's been banned, you know, something that still works within the rules but does the same thing? Sure, of course. It's competition. It's how it is. It's how it should be. Of course, maybe the top teams are getting preferential treatment in this case, but again, you know, don't be mad at Coanda for that, be mad at iRacing for that. I also think that this should not have been allowed like this. This should have simply been banned after round 1 and then that's that. Given that the vast majority, or like, it seemed at least there was a significant portion of the drivers that was not okay with that and wanted it banned, I think it would have been the far better way to go for everyone to ban a ridiculous, gamey, stupid-looking qualifying tactic. It would just make the series look better, and it would make most of the drivers happier, and it wouldn't be a loss really to Coanda either, because they can drive, you know. Of course, part of why they're qualifying so well is because they have the part of why Coanda is so good is because they absolutely maximize their qualifying scrutiny circumvention at the moment. But they can drive. They could drive, simply. They can drive just like everyone else. It just should have just banned it after round 1 and it would have been so much better. But hey. There's, and like I said, there's certainly a lot of like room to argue that Coanda did cheat. That is, I think, given the, you know, rules and regulations, given the circumstances and given with their actions, that is, you can totally argue that. But you know, that is sort of still a lot, I find it a lot less disgusting than circumventing password protection on private sessions to get setups from other people, from other teams. That is a whole new level of fucked up, and a 90-day suspension is a joke. A fucking joke. And in that same vein, we have a lot to talk about when it comes to accountability in sim racing. A lot to talk about when it comes to accountability in sim racing. And this is not just related to sporting behavior. Okay. Well, okay, that changes absolutely nothing because they're still entering private sessions by circumventing the password by exploiting some fucking like bug in the UI or whatever. I don't care, it's still just as bad. What they do with that, I don't give a shit. Because this is just some fuckwit sitting at home thinking, look, there's this giant loophole. We can actually spectate on Apex while they're practicing. Wouldn't it be funny if we did that? Lol, nothing's gonna happen anyway because we're sim racers and we never ever face consequences for anything. So they didn't just do that and then don't really face consequences for it, you know. This is what I mean when I say we have to talk about accountability in sim racing. This is not just about sporting matters either. If you just think of all the fucking abuse and all the just bigotry and hatred and whatever that's being hurled at each other's heads in, you know, the pro community with absolutely zero consequences. I mean, shit, as a lesbian trans woman in sim racing, I'm just like, my condolences to anyone else that is even remotely not a 18-year-old white guy. You know, I wanted to talk about setup shops, but you know what? Fuck that. I'm gonna talk about this now. Because there you go. I'm gonna talk about this now. Well, I mean, the setup thing doesn't matter anyway. There's like five setup options in a fucking car. Okay, maybe 10. I don't care. Setups in Porsche Cup. That's a joke. Like Redline can figure it out. They don't need to steal setups. It's completely irrelevant if that is. It's completely irrelevant if they did steal setups or if they're gonna work anymore or not or whatever. It makes no difference. This is completely beside the point. They don't need to profit off of it for it to be an absolutely like disgusting act. For it to be like absolutely like shameful to circumvent password protection to join someone else's private server just because they can. That it doesn't matter. And you think that they fucked up their name, but they never do, because this is my whole point when it comes to accountability in fucking sim racing. No one ever fucks up their name. No one ever. I could come up with a fucking list this fucking long about people that just got away with some gross shit. Yeah, I agree, Jared. It is completely embarrassing. It's also so embarrassing for Bila to have, just to have their fucking team members drive backwards on an IMSA fucking grid. It's so embarrassing to have rage streamers. But it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. Accountability. There is no accountability in sim racing. No, not to even the slightest extent. People are saying the fighting game community has problems with, fucking sex pests and fucking, harassment just going unchecked and going rampant in the community. Well, at least people talk about it. That's already better than here. No one talks about it. Everyone acts like sim racing is just like this awesome, welcoming place or whatever. Or at least no one talks about anything bad. No, I agree. I don't necessarily think that this should be like a lifetime ban. I don't think this is on the level of that. But I'm just sort of thinking that if I was Redline, I would think very hard about having such people on my team. However, if the boss is on board with it and also thinks it's fucking funny, then there's no accountability anymore. That's my whole problem. I don't know about Redline boss. Like, if is it still Dom? I don't know if Dom thinks it's cool or whatever. I don't know if Dom even knows about it. I don't know if Dom even gives a shit. The point being is that if I was a team owner in sim racing and my drivers that I have at that level definitely like contractually like fucking signed to be drivers for me that I'm probably paying, if my drivers were doing such things, I would not want my team's reputation tarnished. But that doesn't apply in sim racing. That's the thing. It does not apply this way in sim racing because there is no such thing as tarnishing anyone's reputation because it is the norm to act like a fucking 17-year-old cunt and to be hateful. You're just a hateful, toxic prick with anger issues. This is just the norm, and then that's it. It's just a boys' club in all the worst ways. It's not just a boys' club, but it's like a fucking... Without even, like, there's no even, like, the veil of, like, respectability or something. People don't even pretend to look alright, At least if you go to, like, I'm sure, like, if you go to some, like, fucking white male-only golf club, at least they'll dress nice. Sim racing doesn't even dress nice. No, of course, and the painful reality, the very painful reality is that before sim racing became this big thing, there was a sense of community because we were such a small community where such things did result in you becoming somewhat of an outcast But it's almost as if now that like it's a bigger deal and there's more attention and there's more money, people there are less consequences, which is, if the same thing happened in a job outside of sim racing, it would be instant dismissal. Yes. At least severe consequences. I would fucking think, like, you go to the oval section of iRacing, it's a cesspool of something I can't say on Twitch. Which one of the things that you can't say on Twitch? I don't know. Shit, you've got my Discord. Can you DM me what you mean? Because like I'm not familiar with oval shit too much. I don't want to talk about it, not knowing what it's about. They're desperate of results, so that's my only thought process for what they would want to spy on: time, setups, brake dragging procedure. Yes, Redline is underperforming in PESC, and I guess they're desperate. But also the general attitude is that it's kind of funny to kind of just like hack into like a session or something. It's just haha lol. You know, no one thinks about it in that way. You know, like if this was like a respectable community with decent members, it would be like, hey, iRacing, I found a loophole in your code that allows me to get into the session without a password. How about you fix this? But that's not the case. Instead, people fucking join and, you know. It's not the boys club, it's the kids table. Yeah. Difference is that, like, you know, normally in kindergarten, like the teachers or whatever, like they keep the kids in check, but here it's like, oh yeah, totally, yeah, fucking, you rock, kids, awesome. It's nothing short of depressing, really, and I think While reported to iRacing, they either ignore or tell you you're wrong. I'm speaking from experience here. That is, I can see that being the case. And thankfully, in my own personal experience with regards to mostly transphobia on the iRacing platform as a whole, iRacing has been good about it, active about it. This is something specific to, you know, the whole trans experience, I guess, but getting your name changed is super quick and easy, and for the most part, I don't think I've ever had a protest for like a forum thing or like a chat or voice chat thing go without action for, you know, transphobia or sexist stuff. I obviously can't speak for your specific situation. You know, thankfully, iRacing as such has been good about dealing with transphobia in my experience. There is, of course, like every now and then, actually, you know, one time someone jumped into my fucking Twitter replies, just going fucking, heard me getting wrecked as transphobia, but like, just go away. Shut up. They didn't ban the guy with the 1488 paint. Jesus. That's the yikes. I'm gonna reply to my girlfriend real quick, because she'll be a bit late, but that's fine. Thought I'd reply. But yeah, no, But no, I mean, it's also just such a huge problem because, you know, the RSing as, you know, the who run this platform are the only ones that actually do anything. The community as a whole, man, there's no accountability whatsoever. There is a handful of like decent people that actually speak up about shit, but that's such a tiny minority. There's like basically there's three types of people on iRacing, I think, and it's like either people that are in some form members of a marginalized community that realize what's going on and will speak up about it and will be on your side and will show solidarity because they understand what's going on. And then there's two types of white men. The one type of white man who is gonna be like a fucking toxic, bigoted asshole that bullies people and makes everyone else's life hard if they aren't the same thing, or white men who maybe don't notice it, or don't see it, or don't want to see it, or don't want to notice it, who don't want to speak up about it, who, you know, probably maybe think it's a bit wrong, but, you know, why actually bother? Tell me about it, Akaro. Tell me about it. I've made enough experiences, you know, just as someone not even like getting shit for being trans or whatever in sim racing, but also just getting lots of shit for being one to speak out about the general culture. It feels a bit rich calling this a fucking culture. Yeah, I mean, it's a fucking tough topic to talk about to a certain extent, because, like, I don't want to necessarily remember quite all the harassment that I faced back then. But no, this is true, Marie, this is true. I don't know, well, yes, the stupid people are the loudest. But for every one guy in Oval Voice chat that says I must be some guy on mummy's credit card or giving me shit for my voice, there are 39 guys that don't say anything about it. Out of those 39, there's a good portion that thinks it's funny, but they didn't want to say it, they don't want to laugh. Out of that, there is a portion that will probably laugh. Out of those, there is a portion that thinks like, Jesus, that's a bit rude, but they won't do anything about it, they won't protest it, nothing's gonna ever fucking happen. And I mean, that's the thing, you know, I feel like a lot of the people in sim racing are just like, I don't know, 16, 17, 18-year-olds that are getting a lot of validation and affirmation and affection in that sense for being good at sim racing. There is never a, yeah, okay, you can drive, but you need to shut the fuck up. And that's just like among the kids. Do you think the 30, 40, 50-year-olds are any better? I can assure you they're not. Most of them aren't. If anything, you know, some of them view me as somewhat of an easy target given I'm, you know, that much younger. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, of course. I mean, like, 22-year-old Nazis don't go 1488 anymore that much, I think. Like, they've got different stuff. Yeah, Deadly Mix is the 1488 guy, in case you weren't sure. It always appears that the sponsors and the big names that need the exposure they've invested for either don't see or don't want to see what's going on behind the broadcasts. This is true. I would say this is pretty much true. Because the thing is that, you know, from the up. Jeez. Oh, there you go. Oh, tremendous. The thing is that, like, from the outside looking in, sim racing as a whole looks pretty respectable and competitive and decent. It's like such a mature hobby, isn't it? Driving like fake race cars that are just like just as hard as in real life. You know, it's like, oh, really hardcore shit. You know. Like, I think if anything, people looking into, I don't know, like CS:GO or something, they think, oh, it's just like fucking like FPS or something. Like, well, it's ridiculous anyway. With sim racing, I think it automatically looks a bit more respectable, and just as a result of it being, such a hardcore, in quotes, hobby, esport. And it is very easy to ignore the behind the scenes. That is also true. I mean, the thing is, I would say, like, if I'm like a team manager or something and I have like some sponsorship thing going on with like some company, they're probably not like in the team Discord or something. I would like communicate to them professionally and whatever. And then the only way you'd actually figure out that the people are yikes is if you were there to see it. Because like I said, there is no culture of like accountability, and there is I have never seen anyone face consequences for their actions ever. So I've never seen anyone face tangible consequences for their actions ever, because the community as a whole is just okay with this boys club or like kids table sort of behavior. It's just So how would you hear about it? How would you hear about it? Does, I don't know, Overtake GG make fucking write pieces on, I don't know, red line drivers banned for hacking into, or like for circumventing password protection to get into private sessions? Does Overtake GG or whoever else, do they write pieces on how, I don't know, certain individuals are transphobic pieces of shit? Do they talk to me, ask me what it's like to be a trans woman in sim racing? No, they don't. That is also true. To an extent. I think with the history that Govand has, they can't always just give like 1 month bans. But no, I agree. I think it's a bit ridiculous. I think, sort of in 2018 maybe, or 2019, Govand should have been perma-banned, but like given that didn't happen, I think now 2021 or late 2020 Govand, I don't think should be getting a year ban, but that's my opinion from the outside looking in, so, No, but, that is true. Like, I completely agree. Like, I think Govand was like this one. Of course, I heard of Studensky. Govand is sort of like this, like, the like poster child for like a terrible sim racer in people's minds. I mean, shit. I'd rather be abused for being a dirty driver than be abused for being, I don't know, a black sim racer or a trans sim racer or a gay sim racer, because with how Santino Ferrucci was treated the last couple of years, I got reminded of sim racing so much. Yes, this is correct. He's like fucking falling upwards, isn't he? Booted out of Europe for being an insufferable prick, being a racist cunt that intentionally crashes into his teammate, and then gets booted and gets an IndyCar drive, and is seen as this like poster child for the American way of racing. The people in Europe didn't want him. They couldn't agree with his fucking style, but he's so awesome. And then he was shit in IndyCar, and now he's in Xfinity, and he's also shit. But if that guy wasn't a racist prick, he'd be nowhere, because no one would care about him, because he's just a shit driver. Yes, because American racing has this problem, or like at least IndyCar and NASCAR, like from the top down, have this problem that they constantly push this narrative of you need like the villain, you need the bad guy, as if it's like some terrible action movie, but it's not. It's a sport. It's competition. The competition, the sport should be entertaining. It's not entertaining to have an insufferable fucking prick in the sport. And I was talking about this last night, that 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 there's always this narrative that there needs to be this villain, there needs to be this bad guy narrative, there needs to, I don't know. No one needs that at all, actually. No one needs that at all. Yeah, sure, I'll do the baseline. Sure thing. Oh, do I need to play like country bass? I'll figure it out, it's okay. I'll adapt. Improvise and overcome. No, I actually cannot play the Seinfeld intro. And then I'm not interested in it either. But yeah, no. Maybe I should like lose a bit of self-respect and get in touch with some of like the big sim racing, like I don't know, like media outlets or whatever, and say like, hey, you know, shit, do you want to talk about how rotten this is? Do you want to talk about what it's like to be trans in this community? I mean, it would be an unpleasant conversation, I'll tell you what. But then, you know, everyone would be like, oh no, that's such a shame. Oh, we'll do better. Yeah. But like, no one actually does better. Like, people will call each other like fucking all sorts of slurs. And anyway, like, nothing's gonna change. But I don't know. Maybe I don't have anything to lose. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't know. I don't think people care quite enough to like dox me or something and like, I don't know, show up at my doorstep. As long as that doesn't happen, like, shit. Like, if you've got a contact, let me know. I mean, I'll be happy to have a chat about it. You know, one thing that I will definitely not do is I will not mention names. I will not say like, oh, this person said that and that person said that. It would almost be a bit unfair because, like, if we're completely honest, I don't know who exactly said all the same things, but just not to me, or like who I didn't hear, who you know didn't hear, who I just didn't hear say those things, or didn't hear about. Or it'd be a bit unfair to like single out any individual in particular. Plus, with some of the some of the harassment I got on Twitch, I'm pretty positive it must have been people from sim racing making a bunch of burner accounts with transphobic names. I'm like 99.9% sure it was sim racers. I'm not sure who, which is a bit of a problem because whoever did that, I fucking want them dead. No, I don't actually want them dead. Don't fucking ban me from Twitch now for saying this. Jesus Christ, like apparently that's the thing. No, I don't want them dead, but I'd like to know, and I'd like them to face some consequences. I'd like to at least, you know, figure out who it is in sim racing that I need to fucking avoid. Because that's sort of the thing. I've got a few suspicions, but it's not like I'll ever find out. Unless the person is willing to come forward and say like, oh yeah, I was being a bitch and I hate myself for it, in which case, good, you should. I mean, it doesn't affect me anymore as such, like personally, like I'm over it, it's okay, you know, I've seen worse transphobia, maybe that's not a good thing, whatever, but like, you know, you learn to deal with it, but, I mean, it's one thing, you know, me being out for 4 years, and me being generally a pretty resilient fucker. I'm okay with it. I'm just sorry for anyone that's new to this, and you know, even cis women in sim racing, shit. But like, especially if you're like trans or like queer in any form in sim racing, I'm fucking sorry. Be prepared for shit. Yeah, but you'll always be the outcast. You'll always be that. You'll always be the guy that got kicked for being racist or something. In a community where being racist is bad, that would do the trick. But in this community, it is not like being racist is bad. Okay, then let them get picked up by some idiot team. Haas exists. Everyone hates them. They can exist. That's not the point. They can exist as an outcast. They can exist as someone that is universally hated by a community that stands against bigotry. And I know, like, for some reason, like, transphobia is like a contentious issue, and people seem to think there's like something to debate there. I think, like, surely, like, at least you can argue that you're new to it and you don't know anything. But if you're racist in 2021, then you want to be racist. You don't want to face the reality that you've got problems. And I'm not saying that you like go to the weekly fucking clan meetup or whatever. That's what I mean. But like, if you say racist shit, be it inadvertently or whatever, if you keep doing that in 2021 with the with how the sort of public discourse and perception has shifted, if you actively insist on not changing, and actively insist that whatever you're doing is the right thing to do and it's fine, and all the, I don't know, black and brown people shouldn't get mad and they should just shut the fuck up. If you're like that in 2021, you want to be like that. I don't think there's any excuse anymore as far as like, oh, but I didn't know any better. Fuck off. Like, to a certain extent, I feel like there is that excuse still with trans stuff, because for the most part, people don't know anything about it. And media is making big fucking money off of just spreading stereotypes and lies and bigotry and, you know, all sorts of shit about us that's like completely untrue. But at least I can see how if you start from a position of being completely uneducated, and then the first thing you get fed is transphobic lies and fear-mongering, I can see how from knowing nothing to being fed fear-mongering, how you would be transphobic. I cannot see how, you know, I'm not a dude. Yes, there is a, yeah. Which I'm actually a bit fucking shocked that him of all people, because like, you know, just, what's it, I remember when I was still streaming, like, he hosted me with like 120 fucking viewers or something, which was huge at the time, you know, like, we were always cool, like, we followed each other on Twitter, like, forever, and everything was always fine, and then, like, I don't know what happened, I don't know if you fell down, like, the Fox News rabbit hole or something, but, like, I feel like everyone that I know that's been watching him for longer than, I don't know, 2 or 3 years says that things have changed. I don't quite know what it is, but he seems to be so eager to every fucking night die on some hill about how, you know, I don't know. I don't need to repeat what the guy's saying, like, day in, day out, you know, that I don't need to, like, reproduce the bigotry on here. I don't need to say the things to say that he's just being racist and transphobic and homophobic and sexist pretty much constantly. See, that's the thing. I don't necessarily feel like it's the marks dropping, because like I said, even like me as a out trans woman, like I was always okay with him. Everything was always fine. I would have been a very easy target, or at least a very easy person to ignore and avoid, but I wasn't being ignored and avoided by him, so surely, like, I think something has to have changed. I think it always feels to me like he's in this phase of like going down a Fox News rabbit hole, but like he's not at the point yet where he thinks like every single individual that is like black or queer is bad, but he'll constantly spout shit about BLM or about queer people as a whole. But like, you know, they can't quite bring himself to say the same thing to an individual directly. It doesn't fucking change anything though. It doesn't change anything. I'm just saying, like, I think this is what's going on. Like, I don't mean to make it sound any better, because there's nothing good about it, even remotely. For what it's worth, my information is that it is being watched, it is being observed. But I'm not sure what there is to watch, because I didn't realize that having like the little check mark and being like a big deal or something protects you from having to follow TOS, because you know, just my opinion. Oh, really? Okay. Well, I didn't know that because, you know, I'd never seen any of that. I can't necessarily comment on that. Yeah, no, like, I mean, if you want to be a member of any marginalized community at all in sim racing, you better have thick skin and you better pick your battles and you better think twice about where you go. Just for your own well-being's sake. This fucking GPU fan always like stopping and starting is so annoying. You need to turn it off. It's so irritating. Every fucking 5 minutes it just goes. I'm out of coffee, aren't I? What is life? Don't pick battles and fight them all. That's what I do. Oh, don't fucking talk to me about stuff. I don't give a shit at all. Like, I could not give a single fuck about stuff or that whole situation. I could not care less. If you want to tell me that the harassment I face is factually incorrect, then, I don't know, suck a massive dick. You could shut up about it now, or I'll just simply ban you and then you also shut up. Up to you. Some trans streamer that was being like, I don't know, apparently like pretty, I don't know, the narrative that I heard is that like, she was being somewhat of a very like authoritarian about modding her chat, and then, people felt somewhat inconvenienced because they felt that they were getting banned for things that they hadn't done. They were getting banned for. I'm not even like allowed this because it's like the stupidest. This is actually like the stupidest thing anyone has ever said to me in chat. Said that gamers are white supremacists and that voice chat is sexist. Oh, you thought that I did that? No shit. You thought that Steph did that? No. Yeah. The narrative is that basically Steph went like, oh, you know, gamers are white supremacists and everything's so awful, and like voice chat is sexist and everything's awful. That may well be what Steph has said. I don't really care that much because I'm not Steph and I don't actually care. But I think the way we speak about the situation tells you a lot about the state of gaming. Because the way we speak about it is we are basically trying to we are throwing a trans streamer under the bus for saying that for exaggerating on, or like for being a bit too not very nuanced about the way that she speaks about real problems in gaming. Because I don't need some fuckword in chat to tell me that voice chat that you know, you don't experience sexism fucking often in voice chat in games. I've played fucking Siege enough to know that, you know, the moment you log in with like and you're read as female, people go like fucking you know, best cases they chat you up, and worst cases they go fucking full, you know, sexist on you. That is factually true. And that gaming is a recruitment ground for white supremacist movements, and that a lot of gamers that are fed that shit and, you know, become white supremacists and racists. That is equally factual. The thing that we're like, or like the thing that everybody is ganging up on Steph for, is for saying that is that people treat it, or people like to see it as like every single person that plays video games and talks in voice chat is a sexist white supremacist. And this sort of this is quite the stretch, but this is what people are then, you know, this is the whole fucking thing why Steph is getting thrown under the bus like this by literally everyone. If I need to tell you that when I say that sim racing as a whole, the culture is absolutely rotten and toxic, and that racism, homophobia, and sexism are the norm rather than something bad, and you then try to throw me under the bus for saying that, oh, every single sim racer, every single one that has an iRacing account is, I don't know, a transphobic clan member or something. You're the problem. You're the one that can't fucking... You're the one with no fucking, like... I don't know. Comprehension skills whatsoever. You're the one that doesn't get anything. That's not my problem. Precisely, you know, if you're a gamer and you're not racist and white supremacist and you don't say sexist shit in voice chat, then it seems that it should be in your own interest that shit changes. If you then just go like, oh, but she said that gamers are sexist, but I'm not sexist. That means she's wrong. That means she's bad. She's the bad one here. Like, you can't be so stupid, can you? Like, sorry. Like, throwing trans women or people of color on the bus for the way they criticize or for the way they speak out about problems in a community because you feel hurt by it, that's pretty fragile and pretty cheap. If you want to try and throw me under the bus or try and cancel me or try to silence me or something for saying that sim racing is rotten, toxic, sexist, and racist a lot of the time, good luck you won't, actually. Good luck that won't happen. You can try your best, but it's not going to happen. That's, And of course, like, if you think, like, you know, that I'm saying factually incorrect things, then by all means, please provide me with the correction, you know. I can, you know, by all means, try and tell me that I was not, in fact, getting harassed on Twitch in the past with, you know, some people from the sim racing community making a bunch of burner accounts with horribly transphobic and graphic and violent names. If you feel that there is something to factually correct that, then by all means go, try your luck. I want to see that. I don't know, some people have fucking problems, I swear. Like, I don't know, if you want, I'll fucking scroll back on my Twitter and I'll find the fucking screenshots and shit. Not hard for me to do. In fact, now I say that, shouldn't be too far to scroll. I don't post that many pictures. I should misclick. No, shit. If you want to see what it's like being a trans streamer in sim racing, this was on Christmas. This was December 25th. No, I know that they just want to stir some shit. I get that. It's just, you know, in this specific instance, I'm sort of almost happy to engage with it because I don't need to hear that it's factually incorrect. Because it simply isn't. I mean, content note, trigger warning. If you don't want to see transphobia, don't click. But these are just a handful of examples. Just the fact that I can just like fucking copy a link to tweet on 4 things in like such quick succession. It should give you an idea of what it is like. Yes, precisely. I found another gem. Utter gem. If you, this isn't just sim racing, but this is like just gaming. Like, anyway, that's enough. You know, that's enough examples. I don't think anyone needs to see any more of this. That is, you know, I don't think so. But point being, you know, it runs rampant. It's absolutely the norm. It's absolutely tolerated. Yeah, it made me chuckle too. It's actually kind of fucking funny, like, to act that ridiculous. But anyway, point being, it's entirely normalized. It's entirely the fucking norm to get away. At least, you know, not everyone partakes in it, of course not. But like the vast majority of people will happily watch as other people are being racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, harass individuals that are in some form vulnerable. They feel, you know, this is the absolute norm. You know, it starts at such benign things as like the you know, the whole three namer thing about how like Spanish people with three names all crash. No, are you a clan member for saying that? No, but no, is it pretty gross? Yeah, actually. And that's just normal in some races. It's been normal for like, that's been like a joke in iRacing way before it went big and toxic. Yeah, but rightly so, because it's a fucking offensive stereotype. It's like as soon as I tell people I'm German, I need to hear that I'm some like Nazi alcoholic, you know? It's just, you know, hearing that I'm a Nazi alcoholic is a hell of a lot less common than if you're fucking Iberian on iRacing. Because the second you are Iberian on iRacing, someone's gonna go like, ahaha, Iberian on iRacing, ahaha, three-namer. And people try to tell me that iRacing doesn't have like a problem with racism and stereotypes and hateful conduct. What? One of the first things you see if you join iRacing and you go into any lobby or anything is, you know, oh lol three-namer, oh lol Iberia things. One of the first things you see. You have to try so hard to genuinely believe that there are not big problems in the sim racing community. I'm actually three-namer, but I don't use my real last name on iRacing, and I'm actually pretty happy about that decision because with all the harassment that I did get in the end, I'm not mad that people don't know it, you know. Let's just say I'm not mad. Yeah. So yeah, funny that this little clown decided to come here in India and try to accuse me of saying something that isn't true. It's so funny, as if I had anything to gain from making iRacing or like making the sim racing community look like a toxic place. What do I have to gain from that? I guess, you know, some people sort of play it off as like if I make the world seem worse than it is, like I as a marginalized person profit from it or something. Like, but you know, I'm not gonna be famous for that. I used to be a quick driver and a streamer. I wasn't famous. I'm not gonna be famous sitting talking to a camera about the problems in sim racing. I'm not gonna make any money off of it either. Right. And I'm not making any fucking money. I don't give a shit about fame. I'm sitting here and talking about sim racing because after almost 4 years as a first casual sim racer, then moderator for Jimmy Broadbent's channel, almost pro, part of the pro scene, competitive sim racer, you know, doing the whole esports thing, after doing live esports events for Porsche and BMW, after being a steward for the 24-hour series esports league, which is affiliated with Preventic and which is the real 24-hour esports series after being a streamer for money full time, not full time, but like I would call it a bit more like part time streamer. I feel like I've got something to say. I've made experiences in this community, in this world, in this esport that I need to, or that I want to share, that I want to talk about, because voices like mine are never heard. For one, there are like a tiny handful of like women in sim racing, let alone trans women in sim racing, let alone those that are like competing at this level, this involved with the organizational side of things as well. So I've got a pretty unique voice. I've got a pretty unique perspective on this whole thing, and I have something to share. If this was about fame, I'd have stuck to being a musician. I did not do the Pro Series, no. I started doing Rallycross after the first Pro Quali Series, and then I stopped doing Rallycross before the second one. So, no, but I was like among the 10 fastest Rallycross drivers on the service. That's for sure. I'm happy to sit here talk about this to 33 viewers. I don't give a shit about the fame. It's just like if you find my perspective on sim racing and my experiences interesting, then by all means you're more than welcome to listen. I'm gonna talk about it no matter what. I don't care less about fame or money or anything of the sort. But yeah, no, I mean, gosh, I guess we're approaching 2 hours live at this point. So I would like to end on a somewhat more or somewhat less negative note, I suppose, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know. I mean, for what it's worth, like, feel free to ask me anything. Talk about anything. I'm thinking right now if there was anything else that I thought about in the past week or so that I wanted to share on here, but it doesn't deserve a full stream. Sure. It's somewhat of a difficult question for me to answer, because over the last year and a half is pretty much exactly when I wasn't here so much. But it does seem like it. I think, you know, and that is sort of the inherently why it's bound to happen, is that, you know, just because the community has increased, or has increased in size so much, and obviously, you know, video games attract gamers, gaming communities are toxic. It makes complete sense. You know, it's like you just said, you know, like it's bound to bring some toxicity with it, and I think part of where a lot of streamers completely failed themselves in the community is in their reluctance to moderate. Sim racing streamers are still all too happy to say, oh yeah, but that's one more subscriber, oh yeah, but that's a follower, oh yeah, but he's a regular, oh yeah, you know, coming up with some excuses to tolerate toxicity and just general bigotry, you know, with the justification that, oh, they're a regular, or they're just, you know, a viewer, follower, subscriber, or they gave me money, whatever. That is a bit of a shame. I think people need to have a bit of fucking self-respect, because it's your community. You're responsible for it. I'm sitting here and anybody can click on my fucking stream and talk here, and anybody can join my Discord server and talk on that. It is my responsibility to moderate that. I can't say, oh yeah, but it's not my fault that this guy that watches my stream acts like this. No. It's my fault he still watches my stream, you know. Like, if I was interested in having a, you know, bearable community, then I could simply take care of that. And this is, I think, a problem across the board for most RSing streamers. At the risk of sounding biased, because I'm a mod for Dan, I think Dan Suzuki, is doing a pretty damn good job about it, and he has no qualms at all about removing toxic people, because he doesn't, and neither, we don't have the time for that. We don't want to bother. We don't want the place to be like that. So, you know, I'm probably biased because I'm a mod there, but, you know, we're doing a pretty good job, I think, of keeping it a welcoming, likable, pleasant place. I also understand people not doing preemptive bans, because that would involve, like, saying, like, looking out for other people to cause shit elsewhere. I, for one, even when I streamed, I didn't watch other streamers much, so I simply would not know. I simply would not know if someone else was already, like, a notorious asshole when they came to my stream or something, because I didn't watch anyone else. I think the risk that I'm seeing is that people will behave and will act likable and will act sort of in a not terribly reprehensible fashion in any sort of remotely public place, while still being the same behind the scenes, you know? Because ultimately, like, if does it help me if I can be on, like, say, the SCO Discord server without being harassed? Yes, but just me not getting harassed on the SCO server does not mean that the people on there don't do the same shit about me just behind my back. I don't think that's quite necessarily enough for, like, fundamental change, because for fundamental change, people would need to care. Ultimately, like, people don't have much of a reason to give a shit about, like, this one fucking trans bitch that's sitting here and complaining about getting harassed. Like, you know, to an extent, I sort of understand it. It's not everyone else's priority, but I also sort of tend to think that just a little bit of, like, accountability from everyone will go a long way towards at least dealing with the worst of the worst. But are you stupid? What the fuck is wrong with my phone? Hold on. Kidding me? Oh well, that was stupid. Anyway. You get my point. I think ultimately for change, there needs to be some sense of accountability from a community perspective, and I think surely part of the process has to be hearing voices such as mine. There needs to be someone that calls it out. There needs to be someone that talks about their own experiences in this. There needs to be a reason. Yeah, I mean, someone's got to bite the bullet, but, you know, I'm happy to be that person, because I don't give a shit anymore. I don't give a shit if some Bling team wants to hire me or something. I don't care. I used to. I don't care anymore. I don't need it anymore. I don't need to act respectable or, like, act, like, marketable or, you know, be a nice corporate poster child or something. I don't need to be that anymore. I've got nothing to gain and nothing to lose. Sorry. Didn't mean to make it sound this dramatic always, but I'm just like, I guess what I mean by this is that I don't care if some big team says, oh, I don't want to have you on my team because you said things that might potentially bring the team and the sport into disrepute. I don't give a shit. And I know Ollie isn't gonna do this, but, like, if, say, you know, I would get booted from Fiercely Forward for saying too much, I don't give a shit. It's not that it's gonna happen, by no means. Part of why I'm so happy to be in a team that isn't fucking horrible. But if it were to happen, what the fuck do I care? What the fuck do I have to lose? You know, I'm not gonna join some top team where I actually gain something from being there, where people are better than me, where I learn things and have to, you know, improve and get setups and shit. You know, that's not gonna happen. If someone wants to boot me for saying the wrong things, it's their loss. Just not too fast at all, like in the slightest. Hey, perhaps. I appreciate the suggestion. And you know the thing is that no. If pace mattered, I'd be on Apex. Without getting too in depth. I specifically did not join a big team, like Apex, in that instance because of some stuff I said on stream. So you know, like I don't know that can happen, but I'm and like there's no hard feelings. I understand. I truly do. I don't mean to throw anyone on the bus here, but I do have to wonder why, you know, me saying what I said would stop me from joining a team, but then like Lubo is on Bila. Why Saunders is on Bila. That I don't understand. I'm not mad at Apex for saying, hey, you said sketchy things about your previous team and the management, and we don't want to have someone like that on our team that streams and talks about that. I understand. I do. What I don't understand is that there are other teams then that Bila who have Lubo and Glania and Sven, who, I'm granted, Sven seems a nice guy, but like, why does he reverse on the IMSA grid? And, you know, Saunders. That boggles my mind. Not the fact that I didn't join Apex. Greetings. You have joined at an inopportune moment because I've been live for about 2 hours and I'm about to wrap things up, but sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, so does that. On a personal note, I'm currently taking part in the pre-qualifying for the Sim Power Carrera Cup, which is looking pretty spicy competitive. And I guess this effectively marks my return to SCR, and this sort of marks my return to proper competitive wheeling. If I just look at the entry list, I'll drop some names. Brian Lockwood, Maxim Rammstein, Dylan Beers, Quentin Violate, Kane Halliburton. Are currently the, you know, people that transfer from the last season or currently lead the qualifying. That's Gononzo Tastellen, Kamil Grabowski. You know, a couple of decent drivers. Alexander Lauritsen, so, you know, pretty good going if you ask me. Seems pretty competitive, seems pretty spicy. I'm hyped. You know, like, I've been told yesterday that, someone kind of misses me streaming, which is, you know, coming from them, it's a bit of an incentive to stream my races again. I'll think about it. But, yeah, I'll think about it. That's what I'll say. For what it's worth, I will not comment on other series. I will not comment on other series stewarding because I am a steward for 24-hour series. That's just not something I will talk about. I will happily talk about it in a more abstract sense without naming any names and without talking about any other leagues specifically at some other point, because I think that might be an interesting insight into how we steward, how it works, what it's like as an ex-driver at a high level to be stewarding now high-level leagues instead of driving them. Well, granted, now I do both, but I think that would be a pretty interesting topic for some other time. But like I said, I will not comment on other leagues. That was entirely out of place as a steward for a league. But yes, no, I mean, rather hungry. Sorry, I might just wrap it up here. Yeah, we could talk about tasks like that. Yeah, we could. One thing I will say is I don't think live stewarding would work in that series, because at least with the way we do it and most people that I know do it, or most leagues that I know do it, by the time we've got any decision out, the race is over. So I just don't think live stewarding works. I think what you need is post-race, like maybe live in the sense that you get like a big team of stewards to work through the first race and get verdicts out in time for the second race. That would be a good thing. But like that, I can see that also being quite difficult, just like getting the decisions out that quickly. I think what that does need to be is like a realistic of course, public penalties and like an actual like post-race sort of penalty system, a post-race, consequences. If it isn't possible, then iRacing should add it. It's their fucking game. It's one thing if I host a league and I say I can't do that, but with iRacing, I don't buy that excuse. Surely, and I at the risk of sounding like, oh, just code it. How hard can it be? Just code it. How hard can it be? It's just a start grid. Other games do allow you to change that freely as an admin, so no reason why iRacing couldn't as well, if it's not already a feature. Point being, it's just that I can see it being quite difficult to just get the decisions out quickly enough for live stewarding, or even like post race one stewarding to work. I think just a transparent post race system with genuine consequences and genuine genuine penalties for stuff, that's sorely needed. And I mean, look, if I don't know, someone from iRacing is listening to this, I'm a steward for 24 hours series. I'm more than willing to help out. I would love that. All you gotta do is ask. But yeah, no. I think I'll wrap it up here. Appreciate the follows that everyone that followed during the stream. I don't want to talk about the follows. I don't enjoy it. It's pointless. I'm trying to talk about something here. But yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate the raid. Did someone say rookie bot? Thanks. It's my pleasure, rookie. It's my pleasure. As much as it's not always like the most pleasant stuff to talk about, it's still my pleasure to talk about it, I suppose, and to be visible and loud about it and talk about it. And next time I may well start later. I just wanted to start soon enough that I'm done before my girlfriend comes home, because just convenient. Yeah, she's had an appointment in Munich today. Yeah, thanks. Do that. I'd appreciate it. I appreciate it, rather. Yeah, no, thanks everyone for hanging out with me for 2 hours and helping make my morning be interesting. As it seems like this is somewhat of a Sunday thing now, I might stick to that. Don't treat this as like a promise or something. It's not like this is like a schedule or something, but it somehow seems convenient for me to do this every Sunday, so I might just stick to doing this every Sunday. So yeah, yeah, see you in a bit. And everyone else, have a good one, and I'll talk to you, kinda like now. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.